This conference will now be recorded.
I'm Mayor Ann Velisis, and this is a special meeting of the City Council of Port Orford on August 5th. We're starting at 5:30 tonight to talk about a safe drinking water revolving fund funding opportunity. So we will begin with the roll call. Councillor Rask. Here. Councillor Webb.
Webb, present.
Councillor Burns.
Present.
Councillor Brennan.
Here.
And Councillor Lovendall and Pogwizd are excused. Pogwizd. Had a temporary lapse there. And we also have with us today, we have Administrator Radcliffe and Public Works Superintendent Isidore, and Recorder Harrison just stepped out of the room to get some more papers for people who are joining us in the audience here tonight. Welcome. Okay, with that, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, so we have one agenda item today, which is to discuss this safe drinking water revolving loan fund funding opportunity. And the reason that it came up and that we had to have a meeting is we have to let them know ostensibly by next week, August 10th, if we are interested in pursuing this funding opportunity. So I've provided you all with a memo, but I think it makes sense to start, if everybody hasn't had a chance to review it, to just go through it quickly.
That was in the email.
This was the same that was in the email that I sent out earlier today. And again, I'm sorry that it came so late, but we've just literally been scrambling to pull the information together. So the short of this is that we've known that we're having some problems with the water filtration system and our city's water treatment plant. And so John might be able to speak to that later, but it is falling into disrepair. And we know that what we're having to deal with is we have to do excessive backwashing, which takes a lot of water and clean water, treated water. And we also have to do, it also takes a lot of time, extra time, overtime. And so the public works staff have been putting Band-Aids and making fixes on the system for many years, but it's getting increasingly difficult to find parts and to make these fixes. And we've kind of been in this downward spiral of costs because we're paying so much to be running this teetering, feeble system. So last year, in effort to line up funding for this, we talked to Business Oregon. We had what's called a mini one-stop. We talked about it. They said, you guys should put in for this safe drinking water revolving fund. That's a really good funding source for this. So we did put in a letter of interest with help from this group called the Willamette Partnership that provides technical assistance to us for free. At that time, the gal at Business Oregon advised us to put in for extra money because at that time we thought the BRIC grant had been canceled. She said, if you're going to go to all this effort, put in for more money so that you have the money available to do more. So we did. And we requested basically 6.8 million. And since then, she also recommended that we retarget the SIP grant that we received earlier this year to do a feasibility study about specifically the water treatment plant upgrades. That's the filtration system in the water treatment plant. So that's currently in progress, and we'd hope to have it by late September, mid to late September. Actually, we'd hope to have it sooner. Now it sounds like we won't get it until at least late September. And then we found out we did make the list for this grant opportunity. And so that's the thing where we will be invited to apply if we are project ready. And to be project ready, if we are project ready, we have 45 days to apply. And, and then if we get the grant, we'd find out next February and could move forward with implementing a project next summer. However, to be project ready, we have to come up with a plan to pay back a loan. So the preliminary funding scenario that they gave us, again, was for this big chunk of money, $6.7 million for the 2 water lines and the water treatment plant upgrade. And the deal is that you get a 1.5 million of full loan forgiveness, which is basically a grant, but then the rest of it is a loan for 1% for 30 years.
Which is making money.
Yes, I've been told this is like
Yeah.
the best deal you could possibly get is a 1% loan. But still, to pay it back, which is mostly paying back the capital or whatever, the
The principal.
principal, thank you.
Mhm.
It still would cost $200,000 a year for the city. So that's a lot. So
30 years.
for 30 years, it's a big bill. So the initial cost estimate that we did for the water treatment plant upgrade was based on our 2014 master plan. And basically what they do when they have an old cost estimate like that is they take it and then they, just kind of add the cost for inflation up until now and then put in the numbers. So it's a very imperfect number, not to mention in the past 13 years or whatever, 12 years, I think John would say we've got some more problems that have arisen. And so it's very likely that this amount of money for the upgrade is going to be higher. That said, I hope it may not be 6.7 million and that it could be a lower amount. And so I calculated out for us just kind of how much different loan amounts, and that's the next chart on page 2, how much it would cost to pay back these different loans. Like if we took out, you can see there's sort of a special sweet spot.
Mhm.
If we take out 3 million, then we get the full debt forgiveness because it's half and half. And if we go lower than that, we don't get the full debt forgiveness. So those are just some dynamics to keep in mind. But the bottom line here is that we don't really have all the information we need, and we need to make a decision, at least a directional decision now. So that's the unfortunate position we're in. So on the bottom of page 2, I've kind of outlined sort of the 3 decisions for tonight, which is either that we can tell Business Oregon that we're going to apply and we're going to come up with a plan to do this payback and see if we can get the engineers, see if we can twist the arm of the engineer to get the report done sooner. But 45 days is a pretty short period. So that's number 1. And then if we can't pull it together, I confirmed with the gal that we could still bow out and say we just couldn't pull it off. So that's one option. Option number 2 is we could just say there's no way we can do this right now, but we will plan wholeheartedly to apply again next year and spend the rest of the year really making sure that we're project ready for next year.
And can I say something on that?
Yes, please do.
So what this woman, we had a meeting and she explained that because we're kind of in the hopper with this one, that it can be held over into next year, that we would be still in the same line to be able to get the money next year. So then that there's not a punishment or a ding if we say either 1 or 2, to say 1, yes, we're going to try to pull this together and see what we can come up with, and then bow out. That wouldn't be a ding against us for next year. And it's also not a ding against us to say, we don't have all the engineering information back yet to make, you don't have the time, the information to make the decision right now. And so if we did punt it to next summer, when we did have more of the information, then we could apply without penalty. So I thought that was an important point.
And then I put in here as a third option is just that we could kick the can down the road. And I obviously don't think that's a good option for us, but I put it in there kind of as the alternative, just so we understand what that means. And one of the things I think that's really interesting there is I've heard people say that, oh, we should just wait for there's an emergency and then somebody will come in and bail us out. And what I have been told when I've tried to investigate, is that really true? Is that, well, what happens is if you have an emergency is you actually then have to take an emergency loan, which is at the market rate, not at one of these super amazing 1% for 30-year rates. And it's
Did we declare a water emergency years ago?
Yeah.
We did. So are we operating under that emergency declaration now?
I don't know, Brett, that was before my time.
I-
But
We're in curtailment.
But it's more like what the way I'm talking about emergency now is like if the water treatment plant broke and we couldn't, in a way that we couldn't manage and we had to say, oh my gosh, we
would declare an emergency.
we would declare an
I
emergency.
understand that.
And then we would have to borrow money in an emergent way. And then the money would be at a much higher interest rate.
Understood.
And this is before my time, so I don't know, but my guess is that's how we ended up with that massive sewer outfall debt, which is still hugely expensive for us. We're still paying like basically almost 200,000 per year on that at the interest rate of 4 and 4.5%. And I'll just mention at the budget committee meeting, somebody asked, gosh, can we refinance that? And I did do the research on that and found out we cannot refinance that unless we are going back to USDA to do some other big sewer thing that we would then refinance the whole giant package. And it wouldn't be, so anyway,
But we
that's
could,
ancillary
we could.
if we wanted.
I mean, we could
We
be
may
creative
have to-
about
we may
funding.
have to do that, which we need to remember to.
That's just, it's a different thing. It's not like you can just go back and like
Yeah.
redo
Like
it.
you
for-
refinance your house.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
can't
the
do
same
that.
thing.
Not to mention the current market rates are higher than that 4.5% anyway now, since the rates are going back up. Okay, so to be clear, our three options are on page 2. We can tell them we want to apply and do our best in the next 30 days to figure out more information. And that would require on our part doing more work to figure out the payback strategy, the engineering, all those things. Or we can just say, we're going to apply. We're just going to do this next year. Or we can kick the can down the road. So those are the three options, I think, for tonight.
But
And
remember,
then,
she told us, excuse me,
Yeah.
that after next year, it's over.
yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah,
So if we tried now and didn't make it and then got some input from them, we could try again.
yes,
So we have 2 chances rather than 1.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's an important piece.
that is a very important piece. So that would be one of the reasons. And the other thing, and we have these in the other considerations, John has assured me that this is probably not the case. I mean, if we put it off till next year, then that means we are not in a position to do the upgrade until summer 2028. So that's 2 years from now. So, we are at risk of having a failure. And John thinks we can probably continue to limp by, but I don't know if that depends on your
I
mood,
wouldn't
John.
say I assured you.
Well, I was gonna say,
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know. Some days it depends on what your mood is. If it,
You don't fix it, you have catastrophic, that's what it is. I mean, if it's something that we've been dealing with for the last 6 years, we fix it, we move on, we Band-Aid it, that's what we've been doing. The filters are really the main piece of the thing, but the thing is too, is we're waiting on our feasibility study, because I'm scared that, I'm not scared, I'm concerned that we borrow the 3.5 million, which makes me feel a lot better than 6 because of the cost of the water increases, because I
Yep.
pay it too. But everybody else that would have to pay it too. So that's a concern, but I'm really interested to see what the feasibility lays out on the cost of the filters. Because we went down the path and we got to the Tonka Water Systems that was going to do it, and they wouldn't give us an estimate unless they came to site, and we paid them to be here for 3 days, and we decided that wasn't, the engineers decided, civil estimate decided that wasn't a good investment. So we never saw the cost, but I'm pretty sure that we could probably do the filters for 3.5 million. I don't know that for a fact because things are going crazy with cost right now, like you can't believe, that would be a good chunk to definitely buy us a few years, at least on the filtration system itself. That as we went through the plant with it on the feasibility study with Dan from Civil West, he's basically like, you know what? It's probably going to be cheaper to build a new plant than recondition this one. And that's what the funders are going to look at. They're going to like, wow, you know, I can build a new plant for 51, but you want to spend 49 reconditioning it. So, but, and that's what I would like to see, but we're not going to see it until late September, probably, if we're lucky, maybe November, which is after our time we need to put in. So
See
that,
the feasibility studies, is that what you're saying?
yeah, because that'll outline all the capital improvement projects and how bad everything really is. And we'll have a full list of how bad that plan is. I pretty much have a pretty good feeling. I know how the plan is. So, but I don't know the cost. So I can't say that 3.5 million is going to do what we want to do. I have a pretty good sense that we could probably do the filters and the tube settlers, which are the biggest piece of it. But like all the piping from the Kim room is massive patches. You know, the pumps are from, well, the one I'm trying to replace right now is obsolete. So it was from the 70s, late 70s. And you can't just go in and replace it with another pump because it's got to have the same makeup. It's got to have the same distances on flanges, and the pipe has to be the same size. And they don't make those pumps anymore. So now we're looking at bringing in a pipe fitter fabricator to cut open the pipes. And meanwhile, we're down. Could be a day or two for fabrication. And then we got to get, TAG to come in and make sure it's programmed so it'll run with the MCU and PLC and all that stuff. So there's a lot to it. It seems simple, but it's really not. When the biggest discovery we had, which I hadn't thought about, is when we went through all the automated valves, because everything's automated when you go into backwash cycles and filter to waste cycles and surface wash. Those are all controlled by an air compressor, which, yeah, we've always thought about that. But problem is there's no manual way to do it. If the compressor shit the bed, or if the actuator for the valve shit the bed, broke and didn't function, we wouldn't be able to do it manually. So some of the stuff we can actually bypass and go into manual rather than to auto to work. But that portion filter system, we're like, Dan's like, can you do this manually? I'm like, no, we can't. And I hadn't really thought of it. So that was kind of a concern. We're going through the raw water tank right now, building in redundancies. And we specifically decided that we are going to have a backup manual set of controls, because otherwise, how do you operate when you have a malfunction? Those guys are out of Eugene and they can remote in on some things, but some things aren't fixable without a site visit. And then there you are, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, So it's a lot to think about, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I'd love to see the list. I'd like to know what the cost of the filters were. That would make me feel a whole lot better.
How much will you save on a percentage wise from your backflush? Savings, would that represent a savings in costs?
Yeah, and I think
So
we
that
need
should
to,
be calculated.
We'll
I think
move
we
this
need
on.
to
Yeah,
go.
keep going
continue
through this
going
because
on.
it's in here.
Yeah, it
Oh, it
is.
is. Okay.
Yeah, so let's move on. If you don't, just let's
No,
keep it
I'm
going, because what I was trying to do with this memo, and for those in the audience, I think we got you some
There's
up on the
copies there
table
on
if
the-
people want to get them, is to try to present the information that we need to make this decision, because it's kind of two tiers. Those first three things that I was describing on the bottom of page 2 is kind of what we need to decide now. But there are other decisions that go into that. And in particular, these are, what is our payback strategy going to be? And is there a cost savings that we're going to realize that's going to help us? And so if you go on to page 3, I put in here, what this would, what these various amounts of money would mean if we put it on to the ratepayers, or if we put it onto the taxpayers. And the thing we just went through with the public safety levy really helped me to understand how to think about this, because we pretty much just thought about how do we raise money when we need to do this. So you can see there what the amounts are for each of those options. The thing about putting it on to the ratepayers, as we know, that can be a council decision, but we have only about 745 accounts that cover the costs then. If we put it to property taxpayers, we do that by a vote. And you can see the various amounts that it would be, not as much as the public safety levy. And two considerations there, or there's a couple of considerations I think there. I'm still amazed that about 40, little over 40% of our assessed property value is from people outside the city. But more important for our discussion here is that this September, like 1 month, is when we could get it on to this election if we wanted to do it
For the November
for the
election.
November election. And the next election in May is one of those elections that's not a general election. So if we want to put it on that election, we would have to pay. So that's another just thing that fits into the thing. If we need to put it, if we're going to choose between ratepayers and putting it to a vote. And then the other thing, which I was really heartened to see, is doing an analysis of what is the cost savings of doing this. And with help from our staff, Melissa and Dina and John, we did I think a pretty good back of the envelope analysis. And it looks like we could save basically like $63,000 a year by doing this fix. So if you look at the payback amounts we're talking about here, like if we took out 3.5 million and we're getting 63,000 back per year, I mean, then all of a sudden, instead of having to come up with 77,000 a year, we're just having to come up with,
Which could be
11.
like a rate increase. It wouldn't be so high that we could maybe
Right.
pull that off.
right, yeah. And so when I saw like the amounts of cost savings, I thought, oh my gosh, it just made me feel way better, because when I first got this thing and I saw the high costs, I thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? But to see the actual cost savings, so to your question, Brett, you'll see there, the analysis shows if we're like using 3.3 million gallons of
Yeah.
treated water per year, it's at least 33,000 per year that we're just throwing out.
But that's not the filtration piece.
Yeah, well, it's
That's
the,
the distribution piece.
no, that's for backwashes.
Backwashes.
That's
Backwashes?
specifically for the backwashes because the filtration system's not working.
Gotcha, okay.
And
Working
similarly, well, not working
Working
well.
well.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, not working as designed. Thank you, John. What we're doing, it's working in this amazing way because you've really figured out how to make it work. Anyway, also on here, we also figured out the overtime charges and the extra electricity and chemicals that have to go into that extra water treatment. And the fact that, especially in the winter, our guys are having to run the plant 24 hours a day sometimes when we have those high turbidity events. So that's where you get all the overtime. And we did an estimate to separate it out from other kinds of overtime. But anyway, so that's where we got that 63,000 cost savings. So yeah, as I'm saying here, to prove that up, we'd have to get our accountant to help us, and we'd have to present it and make the case to Business Oregon. And then, so I guess what I'm saying is I think we can pull together some kind of payback that maybe will be fine, especially if we end up in the middle zone there. But even if again, going back to what John was saying, we could take a stab and say maybe 3.5 will be enough. Or we could even take a stab and say we want to go for the whole thing, knowing that we may not be able to pay it back. But the key thing is we have to come up with a plan to be ready. We have to come up with a plan for Business Oregon that tells them how we're going to do the payback. And we have to verify it. We don't have to verify it right away, but we have to be ready to verify it basically by February. So like when I said, could we put it on a ballot? If we wanted to put it on a ballot next May, could we do that? They said, that's too late,
But to Gary's point, at that savings, all things considered, not very much money, right? We would need to come up with. It could be a utility surcharge or something like that. I don't think that there's the appetite amongst the citizenry for another
Fee.
Levy.
another levy right now. I just don't. And do you have? I didn't see any breakdown on what that would cost, given that
Yeah, it's in the
What would that
chart.
be Per meter.
It's in the chart there. So, and I'm just going to tell you,
On
Brett,
page 3, top of page 3.
Estimated cost to the ratepayers.
yeah, so ratepayers we can do by month. And if you remember, when it comes to how it works with taxpayers, it's, per thousand. So you can see how much it would be per thousand. And so that then gets back to,
And just to be clear, this is or, right?
Yes.
It's either this one or either the one,
Yep.
two, three, four, fifth column or the sixth. It's not both.
Yep.
So it's not ratepayers and taxpayers. It's either
One or
or.
the
It's
other.
one or the other.
and one way that I kind of thought about it is, let's say,
$6 a month.
if you were to go down to that column, that one for 3 million, basically that's the payback is about 60,000 a year is about 1/10 of the public safety levy. So whatever the cost is whatever cost you figured out for yourself for that, it's about 1/10 of that.
So it's unlikely that we can get this on the ballot, right, for November,
Unless we wanted to just really,
Unless we jam
Yeah.
this through.
right? We would be unsure. of-
and we don't know if this is a good election to do
And
it.
then May, we would have to pay for the election, which is
Mhm.
about $4,000, 5, 6
Six.
probably now.
8 to 10.
8 to
8 to
10.
10 nowadays.
8 to 10.
So I think that $6 is doable, isn't it? I mean, to the average guy, would $6 kill him? I don't know.
I ended up doing a quick thing on $3.5 million if the plant did shut down and we had to do the emergency repair at 5% loan for $3.5 million would be 18,789 a month. We had $6.7 million over 30 years. If we, that's $26 per account, I think, per month. If we were to do if we were able to do it in time before it broke, and we got the 1.5 million, which I'm not sure if that's the same for 3.5 million, or is that?
Yeah, as long as we don't go below 3 million, we get half forgiveness because of our small community size up to 1.5 million.
So then, if we got to 5.5, and then we had to do a loan for 2 million at 1% for 30 years, that would be $6,400 a month. So it'd be a third of the cost if we were able to do it before it broke down.
It'd be way more than a third of the cost because the cost of running the temporary plant was $20,000 a week. Just
Yeah.
to set up a temp plant to run our water.
Yeah.
While
When we're
you're
doing the
waiting for
dredging.
The filter manufacturer to build new filters. So I mean, there's a huge
So it'd
cost
even
that
be
goes to
more
crap on
than-
us. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so your point, Gary, is well taken that I did not calculate that. I mean, how much it would cost if we end up having to pay for it in an emergency. It's very high. But Brett, to get back to your point about, taxpayers not having the appetite. The reason I put that in this mix is because before bringing this to all of you, I did have a preliminary meeting with the finance committee, which was Tim and Gary and I and Melissa met. And there was some sense that any time that we're going to be asking people to pay more, should we be bringing it to people? And at that point, to be fair, we didn't quite realize that we might have an option for a lower
Mhm.
amount. We were thinking we were having to go for this 6.6 million. And so we were looking at basically 2250 per month for 30 years.
Just
So-
on the ratepayers. If it was only on the ratepayers, it'd be almost 2250 per account per month for 30 years for that amount.
We won't know the true cost to us taxpayers or ratepayers until we see the savings. You know what I mean?
Right.
We can't verify them, but I'll tell you this, and Brett touched on it earlier about the backwash cycle. In 2000, we're doing data for the BRIC grant stuff again, right? So I loaded 23s and 24s into a water program. We were using just right around 1 million gallons. And in September of 24, we jumped to 3 million, and we've been kind of carrying that pretty much since. So that's when it changed. And I didn't know when it changed, to be honest. And so I started plugging in all the numbers, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, okay, there it is. That month, that's when it changed. And it varies, but part of the new filter system is going to have air score. So it's going to use a lot less water. And then.
Right, so
actually-
that's even, so it's not just
Right.
an opportunity cost of
Right. I think
not
there's a lot of
using
hidden,
water, we're gonna save water
Yes.
too. And then that's
there's a lot
water
of
we
hidden
can
value there.
sell. So getting back to your point again, Brett, though, is I put it on here because that's what people thought, but that was before we even got to these numbers of cost savings, which I think is almost like a little amazing key for this whole
It's the
thing.
Big picture, a part of the,
Yes.
I mean, that's huge.
And it's part of the key to making things sustainable into the future. And I mean, I think that's the whole thing as we put together these numbers and we realize that not only are we wearing John and the guys down over there working around the clock sometimes, but the things breaking down and wearing down, that if we can get ourselves out of that cycle, then we actually can have revenue from our normal rates to be doing repairs and operations and fixes so that we're not like getting everything worse and worse. So we're talking about a specific problem, but we're also talking about the big picture and how do we shift things to become more sustainable.
It creates the ability to release that moratorium too. I think you touch on that and.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't even say another word then.
Else, anything more
Well,
about it?
no, but here's something else too. In that data, we made about 60 million gallons in 24 and we sold 28 or 30, right? At 28, 30. 2025 looked very similar. I haven't got 2026 in yet, but it's going to be very similar. If we could keep 20 millions of that, right? That is so much time the plant's not running and wearing itself out. That is so much overtime not being at the plant. The whole goal is to get it restructured to 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, plant off on weekends. And I think it's obtainable, but we've got, the leaky pipes to take care of. Once we get that loss rate down to 15, 20%, wow, it'll be a completely different budget. It'll allow you to go out and fix lines and hydrants and everything else that you're kind of neglecting because you're putting all your money into the emergent repairs and not having the time to go do the regular maintenance that you need to. So you're talking big picture, but that's pretty huge. I mean, I was in shock to see 60 million and 30 sold,
Yeah, that's,
That would, excuse me, so that would be if the pipes that are leaking were fixed, that would
Correct.
say that, not the.
Right. Well, a lot of that though is it's treated as water loss, right? Because it's water that's made to lift the plant. But there's a lot of uncaptured water at the plant too that's not metered. And we've got a meter on one of them now, and we've already accounted for several 100,000 gallons that we use during daily operations, mixing chemicals and all this other stuff. So there is some there too, but the loss rate being where it is industry standards 15%. If you're around 20, you'd be great. But I mean, think about it. That's
We're
a
at 50.
1 million gallon tank. I mean, 30 million, that's a whole, that's a whole year's worth of water for what we're selling, really.
Mhm.
That means the plant would run 4 days a week maybe, which there's your savings, right? There's your overtime, your electrical, your chemicals. It's huge. It's huge.
did you run anything, Mr. Mayor, on the potential to sell, to have more customers?
No, but I did run on the coming out of curtailment. So I'm going to go through a few other things and then we'll get to that at the end. Okay.
Sorry.
You're forward thinking here, but and all this information, I mean, you know me, I'm like, put out too much information, but I feel like all these pieces are part of things that it's good for us all to understand and know. So let's see, that got us to bringing up this brick grant. So I wanted to
4.
just make sure on page 4, other considerations. I think we've covered some of these things up in other considerations, but I want to.
I don't have a page 4. That comes right between.
Does everybody else have a page
five.
4?
Um,
Are those complete?
See,
Thank you.
you guys have a page 4 on your
Yeah,
side?
we do now.
Oh, okay.
Yep, this one has proof.
Okay, so basically I wanted to just say this brick grant is still in play. So we have the $6.7 million brick grant, you know, remember it was canceled, now it's back in play. We are literally right now getting ready to resubmit it. They changed some of the criteria and we have an opportunity to like recant our application to address the new criteria. So we're working on that. If we get that grant, if you recall, that's for our leakiest lines and our meters. It's 6.7 million, and we're going to have to come up with a 10% match for that. And at the outset, we said, let's earmark our, this is Mayor Pat, when Mayor Pat was mayor, our SDC funds for the match for that. And
And they could be spent for that.
they can be spent for that, we believe. And we've already made a huge investment in those projects. So that would be a great thing to do. And that is the best deal of all times for little communities because it's 90% grant. So we only have to pay $600,000 to do all that. So we don't know when that's going to come. But when we get the decision on that, I mean, if we don't make it, we can use some of that money for this probably, maybe. So anyway, that's,
Oh, the SDC.
You know, there's
Um,
the potential to consolidate later too. To consolidate loans through Business Oregon
possibly.
and, okay.
So, and then on page 5 is where I get to looking at that. What does this mean if we can come out of curtailment? What does that look like? And surprisingly, it doesn't turn a dial in as big of a way as you would think. So you'll see here, if we added 10 new water accounts to our system, that adds about $7,200 per year to the base water revenue.
But that's just the rate, not the CDC.
It's just the rate. It's not, yes, it's nothing else. And then, and it also doesn't include the costs to provide the water. So this is where I'm saying, you know, so that's that. And then similarly with tax base, because people say, oh, well, then you could add more tax base. You can see here how if we add houses of various amounts of money, how much it adds to our city tax base per year. So it's relatively low. I mean, I'm just putting this out here back of the envelope just so that you can, because I think it's interesting to keep these things in mind. And also it underscores that we have been advised again that we probably need to do a rate study, which is the thing where you look at how much your water rates are, you look at all your costs, you look at all of the expenses. It's sort of a little bit more of an in-depth analysis than these back of the envelope things. And that is supposed to help us understand, you know, better the fixed costs, the costs that are operational, and really analyze it so that we all know what they are, you know, what's coming, what's going to go up, what's fixed, and also that we have that information to present to the community in kind of a more informed way, you know, because we know the numbers are really solid. And that is, you know, something we could get done for free, but it will take staff time to provide the necessary input. So that's always a concern because we don't have staff time. So, but anyway. So those are all the various things that we need to be thinking about for this project.
I might highlight that
Oh, yeah.
just to,
Yeah, keeping in mind that Melissa's pointing out, all of these numbers are rough estimates that we are pulling together based on, you know, the need to make this decision right now. They're not rock hard, rock solid, but they are based on real numbers. You know, they're based on what is the assessed value of Port Orford? What is the
amount of overtime that we've spent in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So
So
we're really trying to
we're
pull
not-
real
yeah.
data to do it, but
but they're estimates. So anyway, with all of that information, it brings us back to more of the page 2 question, which is, what do we do right now? Do we tell Business Oregon that we want to apply and see what we can pull off in 45 days, to see if we can squeeze some information out of the engineer. And I know, John, you and I have been in touch with him, and he pretty much initially he said, oh yeah, I could get it to you sooner. And now he's saying, well, it's going to take longer. And, I talked to his boss and he said, well, he should be having his schedule clear up. I think maybe he could do it.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out if I should, if I could squeeze tighter, squeeze harder to push. I don't know if we'll actually get it or not.
I can send him an email and ask where he's at.
Yeah.
We do talk a couple times a week.
And maybe get a sense of,
Yeah.
could he get something? I mean, we don't want him to push him and get an inferior product either, because an analysis would be useful.
Yes.
So we have number one, we could do that, or we could just say right now, we're going to wait and do it next year and take the time. And then we really have to schedule the time to figure out all these things, the actual cost savings, the actual, what is our best strategy to pay for this over 30 years. And it could be a combination of all these things. It could be cost savings and a rate increase, or, or it might even be tiered. I mentioned that in one place. Like we may have to have, like if we have to come up with paying back 60,000 a year right away, like we may have to have a rate increase to pay the 60,000 back for 3 years. And by then we'll be really saving the money, and then we could not have it. You know what I mean? It's like it will take a while to think these things through, and probably a little bit more like tapping our financial staff consultant probably to be able to do these projections in a little bit more of a sophisticated way.
I kind of feel like we can't afford to just let it slide. I feel we need to,
Yeah.
to move on it and come up with a water utility fee, and then see how the whole thing shakes out. If the council can guarantee the funding, then we can go on with the grant. And we're going to learn a lot. And when you think of the scope of the loan that we'd be getting, the $8,000 or $10,000 for an election in May, it seemed like it would be worth shooting for the earliest one. We can always, if everything shakes out, it's going to be more money than we want to do for a utility fee, we can always put it to the voters in May. I'd like to keep that as an ace in the hole, and we'd have more time to educate the community, because trying to educate everybody between now and November is going to be, with everything else going on.
Yeah.
I just don't see that as a possibility.
So you're saying you'd opt for number 2 is your idea. Yeah. Anyone else? And these are the 3 options on page 2.
Well, the fact that we get a second opportunity if we try now, and then we could try again next time.
Right.
I mean, I think that's really important.
So you're saying option one, like really
I
go for
think
it.
one, yeah,
Yeah.
to go for it. If the council agrees to do the utility fee instead of going to vote, then we're guaranteeing the funding.
I agree. And, I'd like to say one thing. Of course, nobody wants another increase, but I think just about everyone in town recognizes how urgent the water problem is. And they actually want to see something happening about it, because we've been waiting for so long, with the brick grant and stuff. I think that actually seeing something happen, I think it would set okay with most people.
And that is part a grant, which I think that is way better than having it all on the community.
Right. So, John, do you feel like the 3.5 would get us what we needed?
Boy, it's a crapshoot. I can't
Don't
say.
know.
I can't. I would assume and probably get the filter system out of it. I would think, but I honestly, I hate to even wager, because we didn't get any estimates back from any of the people we contacted. they're manufactured and site built. So, and then they just bring them in and rip everything out, slide them in. So with the way the economy is and the price of things, I honestly don't have a good feeling. I would hope that it'd be under 3.5. I really would, so that there'd be some money left over to do some of the other things that are super important.
But with the brick grant possibility, then the two main lines could be part of that.
Yes, right. If we got the brick grant, we won't have to worry about the lines.
And in the meantime, we'll have been working toward getting the
But can
filtration.
we honestly make this happen with the shorter time period we have right now? I mean, we've got 5 different grants going.
5,
That
11,
no, we got 5 that we have to deal with this year.
right.
And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tapped out.
No, I think we are tapped out. I think that's the reality, is we are tapped out, but and that's a very important question, John, because I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. John is trying to prepare for
Dredging.
dredging and this culvert removal and also the raw water tank project and, and the brick grant, the
Yeah.
ODOT thing, and basically what happens and
And the American Legion Hall.
the wastewater treatment plant, like all of a sudden they're like, we need all this information. And John said the other day, well, gosh, that's going to take me like 3 weeks to get it,
That's
you know?
another thing we're in the middle of. We're in both feasibility studies for both plants right now. And wastewater, as she just mentioned, they gave us 3 months worth of work they want, in 2 weeks. So, I mean, I'm just, not that I'm saying I don't want money, because I do,
Yep.
I want to get something fixed before I retire. So I really do, but I don't know that we can pull it off by this
Yep.
deadline. And I don't think we're going to have any type of numbers back by then, which makes me kind of uncomfortable saying that 3.5 will do it to find out it's 5, because then what do we do?
Yeah. And I think the thing I think the only way we could pull it off, John, is if the engineer could pull it off sooner, because I don't have any way to know what the grant application looks like until they invite us. And then we would see it. And then we could say, for example, I mean, maybe they would just say, how much do you need? And we could put in an amount, but usually they want to know like
So maybe we approach it,
specifics.
maybe we approach it with reaching out to Dan and saying, listen, what we really need right now is a number for the filter system, right?
And
I
the
would
tube
feel a lot
settlers.
more comfortable, because I'd hate to get a $5 million quote and we got 3.5 million. Now what do we do?
Then we're stuck. Yeah.
We can't. We have
And-
to completely shift gears to pick something else that's not gonna, do what we want it to do.
We could-
And that's one of the things that I've been concerned about as I've thought about this too, is using the police levy as the example. We had that police levy and it was $1.80. And then as we're actually looking at what things cost, I think the idea was, okay, well, what's palatable and what can we actually, do we think is going to be okay to pull off, which then you did. But then 2 years later, we're looking at it and it was woefully under what we thought that we needed. So the previous police levy, not the current one, yes, which is why we had to go out for the current police levy to replace and repeal and replace it, because it just wasn't enough. The costs had gone up so much. And so that's one of the things that's been keeping me awake at night in this is to try and shoot in the dark to say, what do we think it is? And then heaven forbid we could go through this and work to do it, but then be under, and then we're still in the same boat. And that's a concern that I have.
And then the other part of that too is that, I mean, I really do, I did put, to your point, Perry, about people want to see things done on the bottom of page 4, I really put together all the top priority projects we've been seeking funds for. And we're really like doing it and turning a lot of dials. This year, we're going to get done
Mhm.
reservoir dredging and the culvert removal. And we're working actively on funding for the leaky line and meter replacement. Now we're working on funds for this project. We're also working on this new raw water tank. So all these things we haven't done them yet, but they're all like moving forward. And yet we still know there's going to be more things like over the horizon. This water treatment filtration thing wasn't even on the horizon when we were working on the other things. And all of a sudden this came up. And I remember I was at this water funding conference, John, and the OAW, you guys said, oh yeah, funding for these things is kind of like Russian roulette, because one day you think this is the most important, then like the next day some other thing goes wrong, and then it's the other thing. And so we don't know what's going to happen next.
We don't, but it's the heart, so,
Yep.
of the whole system.
Yep.
And, I'll rephrase that on my statement. I don't know that we can replace them for 3.5 million. I'm pretty sure we could have them.
Retrofitted or upgrade, yeah,
or-
upgraded.
Or, can't think of the term, drawing a blank, but I think they could be fixed with that 3.5 million. Maybe not replaced, maybe it's more to replace them, but I'm pretty sure they could be retrofitted and put back into service. I honestly don't know the cost of the tube settlers, which is pretty old technology, and they need to be turbine clarifiers. You can buy them, so I don't know what the cost is, but I think you could pretty much retrofit the current units right now, but I'd really like to see what Dan says.
Well, and then the other thing about that, John, is if you recall when we were at that Business Oregon meeting, whenever it was a year plus ago, they said they are not going to give money for a Band-Aid fix. They're not going to give money to a retrofit.
That's true.
They want to give money to replace it because they don't want to.
Keep throwing good money after bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because what if we take on 30, I mean, this gets back to what I was just saying. If we take on 30 years of debt that we're going to be paying for something that's going to keep breaking, we need to make an investment that's going to be good. Anyway,
For 30 years, hopefully.
We're more likely to be thoroughly prepared for the $3.5 million project than the $6 million project.
well, we were more likely to be able to afford, it's
Well, I mean,
easier to afford
because we're
that.
short on time, right?
Yep.
Getting the larger project shovel ready would seem,
Replacing the
It's
2
months out.
lines.
November, probably late November, until we know the full condition of the plant.
but the 3.5, the smaller job, could that be done?
If we can get a number from the engineer, if he can tell us, what the cost of the filter system would be.
Yeah.
Then there's a possibility.
And the tube settlers. I think those two things,
They're all- yeah.
it's connected. I mean, that's that connected piece, but it's actually two.
And then that gets to that question though, if whether a Business Oregon would go for that if it's
Uh-huh.
without that feasibility study.
Is there any place in this scenario for any of the water recycling money?
No.
That's on the wastewater
Wastewater.
side. This is all water side.
Gotcha.
And that's a firm line in this infrastructure funding.
We can talk about that on Thursday.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about that is in here somewhere too is, there are possibly some other things we could go for, like we could go back again as we prepare for this grant. We could go back and ask for a direct congressional appropriation or a direct legislative appropriation from either our federal or our state legislators and representatives. So we could try that. It's sort of a long shot, but those are other things we could try to pull in. There was a Water Resources Department grant that comes up. It doesn't come up again until next July, but that might be something if we're going to save water with the air scourer, like we could bring in. But those are just other things. If we had more time, we might be able to pull in also. So. And that reminds me, John, to say whenever we do that, whatever we do with this feasibility study, we got to make sure that he touches on water loss and water savings,
Oh, yeah,
water loss savings.
100%.
So if we were to wait until next year to apply, do you think that the interest rate would go up on the loan part or
No,
would still be
it's
at
locked in.
1%?
I think it's going to be locked in. I think we'll still be eligible for this amount of forgiveness, although she did say that there has been a trend in less debt forgiveness. So it's now 50% up to 1.5 million. May not be that in the future. And Councillor Pogwitz actually pointed that out too. He said, oh gosh, in the past when we were looking at these things, it was a much higher rate of forgiveness, like 70,
90% and
yeah,
stuff,
bigger amounts of forgiveness. Now it's much lower. So anyway,
And it could get lower.
and it could get lower.
Yeah.
So
So I guess the question is, what do we think that the citizenry can handle as far as is that kind of, I mean, we want to give them water, right?
we need to give them water.
But we can't like take their food away so they have water. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think this is like two-pronged basically, Brett. I mean, this is the thing of like, it's either I mean, I think we've got to do this in some way, shape or
Yeah,
form.
yeah, for sure.
And so either we try to like jump on it now and do what we do our best to pull something off, which as John and Melissa have pointed out, could be a real strain. And then we figure out all those things. Then the council meets again and we have that deeper conversation of what can we ask our people to do? What's the appetite for? Are we doing a rate increase? Are we doing a loan or a tax? Or do we have enough cost savings? Can we calculate that so that those cost savings, which look to be substantial, are really going to do it for us?
So because we would be expanding our capacity, we could get into that reserves. right?
SDC.
That's the SDC. If we believe that we can add these water accounts, then that would be an expansion of our services.
Or if we put the air,
But we've dedicated those to the brick grant. That's.
Oh,
our
right.
payback Money.
Well, new ones though, I'm talking about new
SDC fees, yeah.
SDC fees, because we don't really have that yet, right? We haven't really calculated those into this.
Well, we're not collecting them right now, I don't
Well, no,
think.
no, we're not now, but if we were going to.
Yeah, no, I have not done any of that
And
calculation.
that's significant, right? Was that $18,000 or something? isn't it? Or
Yeah.
maybe it's not that.
It's something like that.
So it's
but
about, it's
There's-
$10,000
water.
for a water,
On the water side?
on the water side. It's about
So if we
$10,000.
had 10, I mean, that would, I think that's kind of a piece here too, that we're letting slip between the cracks maybe, but.
so for 10 new accounts, that would be $100,000.
Right, right. Plus the sales, and we wouldn't be leaking if we were adding new pipes, right? Be new pipes,
No,
new infrastructure.
they're going on, everything would be added to the old pipes.
Right, the distribution.
The
main
distribution side?
But if you take your thumb off the end of the hose, less leaks out the hole that behind you, right?
I'm a little bit worried that we're going to fix 6 leaks and then the next leakiest lines are going to.
No, it should be better because we have plans on the pressure things that I've been talking to Marlon about.
Oh, good.
Once we figure out some pressure zones, that's one thing the city doesn't have any pressure zones. There's places that you got 110, 120 PSI
Oh, wow.
down by California Street. Guy been monitoring, I didn't believe him. I went, no, holy crap, you're right, you need a reducer. And then there's places that have 60, 70. And over here in this area, it's high, it's 90, 95.
Right below the tank,
Mhm.
yeah.
So it varies throughout town, you know, DD Street's got it limited. The Pumps running at 100 and they're probably seeing 60, 40 to 60 at their homes. So it needs to be balanced. And then you won't have it would help with the blowouts. But
Right.
that line's rotten. I mean, 80% of your town is full of transite cement asbestos that was put in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, it's done. It's done. It's got to go. But in order to do that, we've got to get our plant operational enough to where we can actually produce enough
Right.
water to supply more homes. Because when we shut off at nighttime, we come in the next day and we're lost 2.5 feet. So we never gain, you know, we just, it's just back and forth. So the plant's running itself to death.
And this is an important point, John, because it was apparently there was a rumor going around town about like, oh yeah, we're going to be able to get out of curtailment as soon as we do this dredging. And
Oh.
there's going to be a lot of questions as to will that additional water supply, how it's going to be, how it's going to end up. You know, like there's all these pieces that we're working on together that have to come together in the right way so that we can do that. So we don't know how that's going to be.
Like the top 3. It gets out of moratorium. The storage is great, but it's not gonna make me any more water. We're just gonna have more water. We're down to about, I think 1.9 feet in the reservoir right now.
The dredge should help with,
1.9 feet
and just
main tank?
the muddy.
No,
the
in the
cleansing.
In the reservoir.
Oh, the reservoir.
It'll help, yes, it'll help with the.
Less
turbidity
work to do
probably.
to get it clean, yeah.
Yeah, and that cuts down.
That'll help us a little bit, right?
So I think there's a lot of things we can, to just get us back to the discussion at hand, is we have to figure out basically, I think the question is, do we want to try to do a push to see if we can get this going ASAP, like as Gary suggested, with like deciding that we might try to be able to put this on a utility fee increase and see what we can do in the next 45 days? Or we want to say, and then see if we can get more information from Dan earlier than November? Or do we want to just say now, we're not going to be able to pull this off now, and we now need to be on the path to be sure we're figuring this out, doing education to our community about all the water projects, figuring out this thing about the cost savings and the finances,
What
you know,
does
all
the
that.
3.5 million get us that 3.5? If we were to go for that 3.5 and then backfill with the brick, right? Then it would show that we're doing something, and we are, right, immediately. And it would be, I think, probably passable, you know, the monthly rate to the ratepayer. What was that, $8?
It was 6. Or was it
867.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably get away with that. And something would be getting done, and we might be able to get it by November, which would give us the 2 chances instead of the 1, right?
Right.
Potentially. I'm trying to, Gary, were you saying that you would prefer the larger, the biggest package? Or
No, it's just that if it did break,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
it costs so much more that that's what we're gambling by waiting.
Right.
So to me, I say full speed ahead immediately. That information that you'd get could, if you didn't make it this year, you'd already have the information, a lot of it for the next year. But
Right.
then there's a backup, like Brett was saying, at least we've got next year.
Yeah.
And to back.
And I guess I'm wondering if you say, let's go for it for the 3.5 this year, but yet we find that between now and next year, and we have things that need to go and we need to bump it to the 6.68. If somehow you came up with a combination of ratepayers, taxpayers, how we would go about it, if we needed that, if we could increase it to that.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I think the
If
way
we
that they
lock
would-
into this,
I think what they would say to us is that we should go for the
the big,
greater amount and then just not take it.
that's the other
here's-
piece, yeah. that
Here,
is-
and here's the question on that. I mean, 2 things on that. One is, as you were saying at the beginning, Councilor Webb, 1% for 30 years is like, basically, people say it's free money.
It's actually getting paid.
So it's kind of like, in some ways, the thing to do is get as much of it as we can and then do as much as we can. I mean, that is one way to think about it. But then that costs us
But the
more.
brick grant can come along and, you know, wouldn't it be horrible if all that work we did for the brick grant, well, we're still gonna need that anyway.
We still
we
need
still
that
need it
anyway.
anyway.
That's the distribution, that's not this.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
Need it
so the
both.
other part of this is it's kind of not like we just to go get to say, oh, we want this 3 million, 3.5 million and this 6.7 million. It is tied to specific projects that have specific criteria. So I don't know if we can just say, oh, we want 3.5 million and we're just kind of, I mean, I literally took these numbers out of my armpit so that we could see how much it costs, not because 3.5 is tied to
Oh,
a specific
okay.
project.
All right.
I mean, the original cost was lower than that. So I was just thinking, well, that might be
So you
hopefully.
did a little bit of stretching.
Yeah, just to kind of help us to understand these numbers so that if we did get the number, if it did come back and say, yeah, 4 million, we could say, well, okay, we've got some sense for how this all works at least.
When would the loan start? That's my question, because that's when we would have to start collecting to be able to pay.
Yes, and
right?
that's a
So
really,
Isn't that a year out?
oh, it's
by the time
not
you
until
get
the
it.
project is completed.
Completed.
So if
we're-
we,
Several years out.
yeah, so if we started it, like if we started the project next summer and then we wouldn't finish it probably for a year, let's say, I don't know, probably wouldn't take that long, but we wouldn't be able to start, it would be like 3 years until we start
Oh,
collecting the money for that.
That's huge.
But that's, so sometimes I've seen this where your first payment's not due until it's done, but the interest starts
To accrue, yeah.
to accrue right away.
Right, that makes.
And that's like a bank breaker. So we would want to be sure that that's not the case. If we're counting on that,
Yeah.
then we would want to be sure of that.
That's a good point.
It'd be good to have that amount of money just so we know.
Yeah, but the interest,
But it'd be
because it's
1%.
1%, it's
1%.
actually not that much. I mean, I remember looking at the amount, like, it's really not that much, actually.
And I don't know how much longer, because of the way the economy is looking and what this woman, Tawny Bean, had talked about, is being able to get, even this 1.5 forgivable loan. And moving forward, the interest rates are going up, and the money they do have to pass through, having it at 1%, I don't know how long that's going to be available, so that.
But
That's
it would
just
be
a-
available at the next cycle.
Correct. That this is, we would be able to lock into this 1.5 million forgivable and the 1% on whatever portion we do up to the 6.68. That's what they've said. Okay, to do this project, you're in the line for this. This is what you could do, but there are deliverables, and it has to be, like she said, new equipment. It's not putting Band-Aids on things. It is, you need to go make sure, and these are vetted, and this is this, and it's engineered, and it's done correctly to move it forward. So you aren't nickel and diming like we've been doing the whole time on these systems. So, Business Oregon, and this is actually federal money that passes through Oregon. So this is the pipeline. One, that money's drying up. And two, is that it's tied to specific things and it's new equipment. And so the idea of being able to get what we need and get as many of those projects and get those things taken care of that we can for the longer term. And this is what Tawny Bean was saying, this woman who was talking to us, get the amount of money that you think you're going to need, or even a little bit more, so that if prices go up, if this happens, you're at least locked into that 1% for 30 years. So I don't know. It's hard because I know people are struggling, and I know that is happening, but
Not having water.
not having water is a massive problem to keep a town.
Well, I mean, it's basically the basis for our lives and our livelihoods and our property values in our community. So, I mean, it's the water. I always see
It's
water as
everything.
first.
It's the community.
But I think, I mean, from what I'm hearing right now, I mean, I did my best to give us the options in this situation of not having enough information. But it almost seems to me like if we could move fast on number one, well, at least from Gary, I'm hearing, and maybe Perry, that would be a good thing if we could figure out how to piece together the payback. And if we could line up Leaf or Eric to help us with that when they finish the audit stuff. I mean, it's true, if they were to do it by mid-September, then we have it for next year. I don't know if they would have availability to help us with
I
that.
don't know, because we start our audit the third week of September. So that's our next for 2026. So that for financial people and time, that's a tough.
That's true. And then
But can we bump that?
that's going to be
The audit back,
Yeah, can we, say,
we're locked in with our auditors.
And then that's
This
going to
is when
be,
they've told us
those are going to
that.
be the numbers that they're going to want next year, is going to be the 2026 audit. So it's kind of like, it's not entirely true that all the numbers would pan out, because then we'd have to put in the updated numbers. So
there's also, so you mentioned that the federal stream is going to dry up. I mean, do we risk, if we don't do it right away, do we risk there being less money available?
No, this is earmarked. The money's been given to the
Okay.
state of Oregon. It's a pass through. So that's why she said you're not going to get a ding, and you're not going to get,
Penalized.
penalized if you don't do it this year. It will be available for you to apply for next year. But the year after, what she was saying was, there's no guarantee beyond that. Like, we have these money in our coffers right now to give, but there's no guarantees.
but
Past
what they
that.
also did say is there's more projects than they have money available for.
Very much so. Everybody has projects.
That's sort of the other thing. I mean, we're talking about it as if we could totally get it, but we may or may not get it. And that's the thing of like, how do we make a strong application? And we'd have a stronger application if we have the engineering information that the guy is taking too long to do, in my opinion.
We have to use 2014 and inflation proof it, master plan.
Yeah.
That's all we can do.
Right. And that doesn't have engineering drawings or any of that jazz or whatever.
Ready at all.
Yeah. So, yeah,
And when they start talking about, remember we were having the hard time getting the pro forma and we were fighting back and forth of getting it to, this is that same group. So it's not as if we can kind of have sort of a fuzzy plan or a little bit of a wishy-washy plan to turn it in. They want to see our budget numbers and to say, okay, the council has decided that they are going to put making this up, $22.46 rate payer on there. This is how they're saying they're going to collect this every month. This is how they're planning to do it. This is what they've said that they will, this is the money they put in. If we don't have that level of this is what we're doing, it's been voted on in order to apply for it, they won't accept it.
Sure.
They were very specific about what had to be on that paperwork to
Yeah.
get the other one too.
and I don't know if
group.
we have to know that to apply, but we do have to know that going into contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing, like, so we could apply in September, but in February
We'd
is
have
when
to,
we have to have that totally dialed in. And so anyway,
So what do we need to wait until next or Thursday meeting to do a motion about this? Or
we don't have to wait because we have to do it. We have to let them know by the 10th, which is before our next meeting.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
thus the special
While
meeting.
we're here.
That's why we're here.
And so what we have to let them, I mean, what we have to let them know is we're going to go for it and do our best, in which case we can still pull back if we don't have enough information and we can't pull it off. So, I mean, in some ways, we can try to figure it out, or we can say we're just putting it off till next year. And if we decide to go with number one, what that looks like probably is more special meetings, because it means we are going to have to do the work to figure this out. And that means, we all need to really think through this stuff, not the first part, the second part, which is how we're going to pull this together.
Well, I'll
So,
make a motion that we go for option number one.
I'd second.
any further discussion? Counselor Brennan, do you have anything you want to add? You have been quiet.
I think the thing that I'm wondering is it feasible for us to get this done in time with everything else? Going for the 6.7, maybe if it's feasible and we can get it done, we can go for that. And then if we don't get it, our BRIC grant comes in and maybe we get the study and we don't need to go for as much next year when we go for it, which would be ideal. But I'm just wondering about the feasibility for lifting this up.
But if we can't get it together, then we've done part of the work and we still reserve the opportunity to apply at the next time. Right?
And one other thing about just the lift. The thing about the lift right now is we have so many projects in the pipeline, especially, and this is the thing that's so annoying about this is the way everything's coming together, like right now, is we're going to hopefully be done with the dredging and done with the culvert removal. So we are going to like erase those projects off our board. And then there'll be some clear space, but it's just all like right now. So anyway,
It's a lot to ask of your teams.
so maybe we should ask our team here, what do
Yeah.
you guys think?
You can do a WAG. If we miss, we miss.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's a matter of just giving it a shot.
And we'll get input from the grantor too. They'll say, you guys need to fix this, this and that, which will prepare us for a more attractive application.
Well, and we could even see the application, like, as I was saying right now, I haven't even seen the
Oh,
application
right.
because we have to be
Right.
invited. And if we are invited and we see the application, I mean, it may be that we'll just say,
And it might be that we see that thing and like, uncle,
We're out.
John's like, I'm retired. I'm out of here. I can't do.
Start
mean-
now for next year.
It could be that
That's-
will be the case. Anyway,
Seems
So-
So it seems like we're really not making a huge commitment right now. It'd be a bigger commitment to not do it and have it fail. and it
So we're
costs-
committing to exploring. Is that what we're, really, that's all this is a
Uh-huh.
commitment to explore, with a
yeah,
cap of $6.5 million is,
And the first phase of agreeing to do a fee.
or something,
or something.
explore.
It's agreeing that.
I can go with that.
I
can
think
go
of what
with
it would be is that we would be agreeing that we want to that we are committing to come up with some kind of payback strategy, that we're going to take it on, that they're not going to go through all of this. And then Port Orford's going to say, if you're not going to give it to us for free, we're out, you know?
We don't, what do we secure this with? I just out of curiosity, there's no security, is there?
What do you mean? What do we secure?
We're secure a loan. How do you, I mean, are they gonna come take our seats or what do they say? You know
Well,
what I mean?
that's this thing that Melissa said. We have to show them the plan
Please.
and then we sign. We
Yeah,
have a
no,
contract.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like, we really, what are they gonna, like, if I go get a new motorcycle, they don't make a payment, they come take my motorcycle.
I don't know what happens when cities don't
Yeah,
pay
you're
back
right.
their loans.
And I don't really
think-
want to find out, but
I was going to say, and I, for one, would like to not
yeah.
explore that option, please.
I think that's when like cities
It's
go
too much
bankrupt.
information.
I don't even, I do not look good in orange jumpsuits. So I will need you people to like
It's the new black.
fix it.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to vote now on it.
Okay, so we have first and second. I called for further discussion. There is none. Anything from staff? I think we're having
I just want to say that you people are going to be in here helping figure this out too. Because this can't be like, oh yeah, see you next month and like you guys figure this out. Because we don't, to help do this, even to get this together, we were meeting yesterday and trying to figure out and trying to do. And so it's going to be like, come on in, the water's warm, for you folks to help and talk to your constituents and talk to people about, you know, what can we do? What should we do? What happens? And to be ready to like step in. So
And you'll call and ask us to, right?
no, you're gonna have, you're gonna have to support the mayor as she's
Oh, yeah.
back here figuring this stuff out. So it can't be like, oh, well, I don't know, like I might, no, we need this is gonna be all hands on deck if this is the decision that you folks are making to do that. And we can support that because our team is good and we can do hard things and we work hard and we do it. And we will do that and commit to that. But we can't do it it can't just be, well, we're gonna direct staff to go figure this out. No, you people are gonna have to help with all that
So
too.
just don't hesitate to ask
Right,
us, you
Right,
know?
exactly.
well, I think the
sitting on the
ask
phone,
right now
yeah.
is that John is going to talk to Dan. I might call Marlon.
Mhm.
And I'll talk to Tawny next
Yeah, we'll
week.
talk to Tony next week about it.
And then we may talk to the Kaitolas to see what their
Mhm.
capacity would be to help us.
Mhm.
We'll get to see the application. I'll talk to the people at Willamette Partnership, which is that group that's giving us free technical assistance because they got a grant to do so. And then we look at those things and put it together, and then we will have a stronger idea of whether we can do it or not. And if we can't, and then what the rest of you guys need to do is, I would say, is just read through this, keep thinking about those cost paths and like what might be the best cost path. What is the best strategy? You know, is it going to be a mix? Is it going to be starting with a fee and then having, and we will have to refine it as we go because we'll get better numbers. But those are the things that I think we need you guys to be thinking on so that when we do have our next meetings, people will, you'll feel knowledgeable and capable to have the discussion. And I feel like this has been a really productive
great.
first meeting. So I really appreciate everybody putting some thought into it and everybody's input. So, okay. So did we call for the vote? No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to call for the vote. Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Brennan.
Yes.
Okay. The ayes have it. So thank you all then for your input on this very important and potentially exciting topic.
Yeah.
And we'll probably be talking about it at our next council
Well, I would
meeting.
assume so.
We'll have to figure out a plan between now and then of what's possible.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Thanks for all this.
Yeah,
This is- We could get a finance committee meeting here.
yeah, and I think that
that's part of it.
all of this will help us on everything because it helps us see how the costs come together. And, Brett identified, oh, you didn't put in the SDC fees. That's great. So like there's more input and things that can be part of this. So anyway,
Um,
yes.
You want me to go to this?
Yeah, we have one more item that
Okay.
Melissa wanted to bring up.
So
or wanted to
one
bring
thing,
up.
kind of a calendar hold, please, if you are able. One of the things that we are involved with is the League of Oregon Cities, and the League of Oregon Cities does a small city group once a month, and they travel to different small cities down here in our region. And on Thursday, August 20th, so it's the day of the council meeting, we are hosting a small city meeting. So all the other small cities come and visit and talk about things that we're working on and what we're moving forward on, and lunch. Okay, and it's free to come. And so they asked that since we are hosting, to invite our counselors also and mayor to come to that. And so again, it's Thursday, August 20th from 11 to 1. And so they would ask that we RSVP. Instead of having each of you go on and do that, if you tell me, yes, you'd like to come, I will go and put and register you for that, if that makes sense.
I already had it in my calendar. So
Oh, good. Okay, so
yes.
Brennan,
I mean, yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yeah, hopefully.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to bring up my date. plan
Webb,
right
okay, and Rask, okay. Yep,
Is it here?
it is
Gonna be here.
actually here, in here.
We
Yeah.
actually put this date on, so it's once a quarter, not every month.
Oh, yeah,
But
it's once a
so
quarter,
We have not done this for a very long time,
hosted one.
hosted it, but we've gone to a few. This year, they're all on their city council days, so we haven't been going to them.
Mhm.
But
They're always on city
Is that
council.
right?
They're
Yeah.
always the third Thursday of the month.
so
every
whenever it
single-
was
every-
last year, we said, gosh, our community building will be done by then. Let's host it then, and then we can do it in our community building. Well, lo and behold, it's already rented out for something else. So
For that day, so
so we're doing it in here.
so best
Anyway.
laid plans. But, okay, thank you, counselors. I appreciate you doing that. And
And
here we go.
okay. And if there's nothing else, we will adjourn this meeting at 6:51. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.